Hi guys, this is kind of a special edition of Stacking the Shelves, which I'm going to be doing in multiple parts. My parents are working on downsizing to a smaller house, and my mom collects even more books than I do. So she wanted me to come over on New Year's Eve. We always go over there New Year's Eve, and we went through the majority of her books. And it was kind of like, I was like looking up on Amazon, see what could we sell, what we take half price books, are there any we want. So I did end up with quite a few books that me and my son picked out of books that she had that we wanted. So I'm kind of acquiring these from my mother. But I'm going to do this in a couple parts because there are a lot of them. There were like 3 grocery bags full of books that we got. So I'm going to go ahead and go through them. Just so you guys know, all this come in my house. I don't want to include this as part of my normal Stacking the Shelves because it would just be way too long. Okay, so the first one we got is Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funk. This has a special fold-out map. It's a special edition. This is one I have listened to an audiobook, but my son has not read it, and he really wanted to read it. So we went ahead and grabbed that one. The second one, I'm not even going to say second, but the next one I grabbed from her is one called Sickened by Julia Gregory. This is just a book I've had on my wish list for a while, and it's about a girl whose mom, made her sick so that she could get more attention, and I believe that's like Munchausen, I forget what that's considered, I'm going to say it wrong, Munchausen syndrome by proxy or something like that, but I thought it sounded really interesting, and it was kind of weird my mom had it, because it's something I've been wanting to read. The next one I got was Running with the Demon by Terry Brooks. I'm a big Terry Brooks fan, but for some reason I never read this series, so I wanted to go ahead and grab that one. This one was kind of random. It's The Greenstone Grail. When I looked it up, it's supposed to be a really good series. It's by Amanda Hemingway. Yeah, Amanda Hemingway. It's supposed to be a really good fantasy series, and I had never heard of it, so I went ahead and I just grabbed the first book in it to read. I did not grab the second and third, which I also had. This is the first book in the Demonata series, Lord Lost by Darren Shane. This is another one I had on my wish list for quite a while, and so I got that one. I probably even shouldn't really show this one because I've already read. This one I actually loaned to my mom for her to read, and this is an arc of Brahms the Child Thief, so I kind of reacquired that. This is a very popular book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, I think that's how you say it. Again, I have had this on my list. This is kind of like on my bestsellers, like I want to read this someday, but I had never got a copy of it, so got that. And then we do have, this is kind of another reacquire for me. She had the whole Aragon series, so Eldest, in a different bag is Brissinger, and then Aragon. These are ones my son wants to read, and I have already read them all. I listened to them on audiobook, but we went ahead and got them for my son. This is one that's kind of a reacquire for me as well. Chris Wooding wrote a 2-part. It's a very interesting style of book. It's part graphic novel, part normal book, and the first one's Malice, the second one is Havoc. For some reason I have Havoc, but I've never had Malice, or I had it and got rid of it or something. So we got Malice. It's kind of a neat cover. It's all raised and stuff like that. So that was another one for my son. And then this is Brissinger, which is the, I believe, second or third book in the Aragon series. So that's the first bag. Alright. Second bag. Book 1 of the Stoneheart trilogy by Charlie Fletcher. This is a middle grade, I believe it's a middle grade series, that I have actually been wanting to read. So, and my son was like, well, that looks cool. So we'll probably both end up reading that. This is The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King. I don't read a lot of Stephen King, but I do like some of his stuff, and this was like a nice little one, and it's supposed to be really good. So my mom was going to get rid of it, so I went ahead and got it. And these are the Redwall, the first 3 books in the Redwall series by Brian Jacques, Redwall, Mossflower, and Matimio. I have never read this series, and I would like to at some point, so I went ahead and grabbed those from her. This is a copy of Trail Chaser Song that was actually read to me when I was growing up, and I was a little girl, and I really liked it, and I think my son will really like it, so I grabbed that as well. I'm trying to separate these into me books and my son books. These are 3 books that are all related They're all Jane Yolen books. Here There Be Dragons, Here There Be Witches, and Here There Be Unicorns. They sat in my parents' house for a long time, and I've never read them, and I think this is another set that both me and my son would really like to look through, so I went ahead and grabbed those as well. I can't grab these books out. All right, this is a book I loved when I was in college and high school. I reread it a lot, but it was my mom's book, and it's Waking the Moon by Elizabeth Hand. So I really like Elizabeth Hand. I'd like to reread it, and it was my mom's, and she was going to get rid of it, so I acquired that as well. This is kind of another bestsellers one that I just wanted to read, The Alienist by Caleb Carr. It's supposed to be a really good book, and I haven't read it. And this is random, but it looked cute. It's Keeper of Cats by Elizabeth H. Boyer. I'd never heard of her, and I'd never heard this book, but the descriptions sound kind of cool, and when I looked it up on Amazon, it's supposed to be a good book. It's supposed to be fun, so pulled that out. This is kind of the bag of random books. These were on a shelf, in a bookshelf that had some older books and some weirder books. This is Orchid Fever by Eric Hansen. Again, it's supposed to be another good book. I think it was a bestseller at some point, and it just sounds kind of fun, something different to read. Here's that copy of Aragon I was talking about, so it'll be for my son. The Orchid Thief, I guess we're like on an orchid theme here. This is Susan Orlean, and I have never read this book, so I wanted to read it. I've heard good things about it. This is The Car by Gary Paulson. This is just a weird random book about a guy who builds a car and has some adventures with him or something, and it sounded really kind of neat. This one I got for my son. It's Navajo Code Talkers by Nathan Asing. It actually is a book my mom got for a class she took in college, and it's supposed to be really awesome and pretty interesting, and my son is super into World War II stuff, and this is all about the code talkers from World War II, so I think that'll be good. This is another book my mom got for a class she took, Two Old Women by Velma Wallace, and it's an Alaskan folk tale legend thing, and I love that kind of stuff, so I got that from her to read. And this was an interesting looking science fiction book, Ring of Swords by Eleanor Arneson. So I hadn't heard of this one either, but it actually got pretty good reviews on Amazon, and it's supposed to be a pretty interesting science fiction novel. So that's the second bag. We got one more bag to go. It looks like I'm getting through these pretty fast. So in the third bag is Johann Cabal, the Detective. I actually read the first book in this series, The Necromancer, and I really, really liked it, and I've had it on my wish list for audiobooks because I listened to the first one on audiobook, but my mom had the hardcover, so I went ahead and grabbed that because I think it'll be good. This is another one I had on my audiobook wish list, The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. I've heard a lot of really good things about this book. I've also heard a lot of mixed things about it, but it's one I have been wanting to read, so I got that. Lock and Key, Keys to the Kingdom. I actually have read this already, but I got rid of some of the books, so I was trying to get them again in hardback. This is volume 4. My mom happened to have this sitting around, so grab that. She also had the Dark Materials series by Philip Pullman. This is another one I really enjoyed reading. I think my son would really like it. But I got rid of the books when we moved, and so it's nice to have a set of them for my son. This is a Tamara Pierce book. I was a big fan of her. I haven't read her for a while, but it's the first book in the Becca Cooper series, Terrier. One of the few Tamara Pierce series I have not read, so I was excited to get that. And we're almost done, guys. Bear with me. We've got, we're getting there. I got a book from her called The Timekeeper by Mitch Albom. Again, just a really interesting looking book that I thought I would enjoy. This is another interesting one, The Physic Book of Deliverance Dane by Catherine Howe. Just another interesting read, and I apologize, I'm not going to talk a lot about some of these because there's a few more. There's 8 or 9 more to go through. Alright. This is Wishing You Were Here by Rita Mae Brown and Sneaky Pie Brown. These are one of those cat mysteries, and I used to read another series with a whole bunch of them that had 2 Siamese cats in it. I can't remember the name, but this is one I had never read, and this is the first book in the series, so I thought I'd grab it and see if I enjoyed it. Companions of the Night by Vivian Van Velde. This is just another like vampire, like paranormal book that's supposed to be really good. It's very small and should be a pretty easy read. So I grabbed that. Oh, I don't know why this is. This was not supposed to be in here. I think maybe Keegan, my son, grabbed this because he liked the turtle. But it's a Discworld novel. It's kind of in the middle of the series. I'm not sure why he grabbed that. David Gemmell, The Ghost King. My husband is a big David Gemmell fan, and him and my son just started reading a David Gemmell book together called Lions of Macedon. This is the first book in the Stones of Power series, and my son was all excited. And we had gotten rid of a lot of my husband's David Gemmell books when we moved, so we didn't have it anymore. So my son grabbed that. Changing Fate by Elizabeth Waters. This is supposed to be another really good fantasy novel, adult fantasy. Again, it's not a huge book, so I tend to grab the littler ones because I'm like, oh, I could read that quick. There are a few, well, I'll say a couple urban fantasy series that I had never read that I wanted to read. Nightwalker by Jocelyn Drake, I never read, so I grabbed this. And then Redheaded Stepchild by Jay Wells. I had never read this either, and I had my mind to read it, so I grabbed that. And this is like fantasy romance that I've wanted to read for a long time and just have never grabbed it. The White Raven by Diana L. Paxson. It's an older book, much older book, but I love the artist who does these covers like this. She was real popular back in like the 90s, I think. And then the last one was just interesting. It's The Little Black Book of Stories by A.S. Bryant. Again, I believe it is a collection of like horror fantasy type stories. It's a kind of a cool looking book, so I grabbed that one as well. So that's it. I'm not even going to count how many. I can pick up the camera here and just show, like, we got that pile, and we got this pile, we got some up there. So just a lot of books. Doesn't really make my To Be Read pile smaller. But my mom was just going to get rid of them, so, figured we might as well grab them and read them. And that is kind of my special, like, Stacking the Shelves book haul midweek video. Anyways, I will have my normal video end of this week with books that I actually, like, bought and acquired by non-mom means. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Just kind of saw some of the variety that, we're bringing into the house. Have a good week, and I will talk to you later in the week. Bye.